Comics Recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a comic called The Death of Superman. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Inside a colossal metal entrapment, an unknown force has been awakened and is trying to get out. Each punch gets more powerful, and soon, cracks are seen along the walls of the metal prison. Eventually, the monster's fist makes it past the wall, and he successfully punches his way out of the entrapment beneath the ground. One afternoon in Metropolis, a boy named Keith buys glow-in-the-dark paint in a hardware store. Somewhere else, underworld goons are taking over the city's power station. They intend to use this to power their war machines. Back in his room at the orphanage, Keith packs his bag for his rescue mission that night. According to him, the monsters in the sewers have his mother hostage, which he believes is why she couldn't get him back from the orphanage. He plans to get her back, then tells Superman about the monster's plans. He marks walls along the dark tunnel with the glow-in-the-dark spray paint he bought earlier, so he and his mom wouldn't get lost on their way out. In the Daily Planet building, reporter Lois Lane found a note from a friend saying she should bring Superman to the basement under the West Side Power Station. Metropolis is in danger, the message said. Since Clark wasn't around, she decided to type a note out on his computer relaying the anonymous tip and told her office mate to tell Clark about it. In a remote field, Doomsday sees birds flying out in the distance and holds out his hand for one to perch on. When a bird lands on his hand, he squishes it to death. He then lets out a grim laugh. Later, Clark comes back to the office and learns about Lois's message for him on the computer. Suddenly, a blackout ensued, and the computer turned off just as he finished reading the message.
Yeah! We do it!
The underworlders rejoice below as they successfully steal Metropolis's electricity. Near the basement under the West Side Power Station, Lois investigates the blackout event and realizes no one is there, confirming the anonymous tip about something terrible brewing. She examines a massive structure before getting shoved away by a humongous underworlder behind her. Lois sees Charlie, a familiar face who was a regular at the soup kitchen she volunteered in. "Who are you?" she asks the creature. Charlie informs the monster who Lois is. Charlie convinces the underworlder that Lois would be valuable as a hostage, but the creature says that underworlders don't take prisoners. Hearing this from his hideout above, Keith cries, realizing he had been lied to about his mom being a prisoner there. Keith gets out of the tunnel, following the paint signs he sprayed earlier. He's devastated about his mom, but he shakes it off, knowing that the reporter lady still needs his help. Keith used his glow-in-the-dark paint to draw a symbol for Superman to see from above. A few minutes later, the Man of Steel shows up, and the boy hugs him while relaying the urgent message. Deep in the tunnels, the underworlders celebrate their machine called the Borer and start powering it up to take over Metropolis. Suddenly, their machine stops working, and the monsters see Superman charging it from the front. One of the underworlders was about to throw a grenade as defense, but luckily, Superman was quick to snag it. He placed the grenade inside the mouth of Cluster, one of the underworlders' leaders. Superman soon faces the wrath of the underworlders' war machines. The hero is determined not to let them get away this time. He later found out that Charlie took Lois to the East Tunnel. Doomsday has reached the city now, and he starts trashing cars and bridges along his path. Meanwhile, in the tunnels, Superman finally finds Lois with Charlie. The hero dives in to punch the older man, but Lois stops him midway, explaining that Charlie was the informant and was on their side. Charlie explains that he wrote the note to Lois so she could pass the message along to the hero. They round the underworlders and put them in chains before being tried in the underworld. Superman tells Charlie and his friends that they can go back to the surface, but they decline. Before flying off with Superman, Lois offers to get Charlie a job at the planet, but he says he wants to stay in the tunnels. Doomsday continues his destruction spree in another part of the city and turns a truck upside down on the highway. Another trucker reports the incident via radio, and the Justice Leaguers receive the message. Soon, the Justice League gang arrives and assists the state troops in rescuing the victims. Meanwhile, the Cat Grant show has just begun on TV, and they have a special guest, the Man of Steel himself. The Justice Leaguers continue their search for the assailant and discover its destructive path a few minutes later. Meanwhile, in the Cat Grant show, the host refers to Superman as Justice League's leader, and he corrects her by saying he isn't. He says that members of the group have an equal say on issues involving them all. Doomsday finds a deer along his path in a remote clearing and chokes it to death. The Justice Leaguers finally find him, but Doomsday aims a sharp, large piece of wood into their ship's direction. The vehicle explodes, sending the heroes up in the air. The Justice Leaguers make sure they all land safely, and Maxima lowers the damaged ship using her powers. Later, Doomsday causes a massive explosion on a highway. The gang sees this, and Guy Gardner immediately flies off to charge at the monster, but he immediately gets beaten up. The rest of the team comes to his rescue, but their efforts prove useless. The heroes couldn't help but wonder where a being like this came from. Beetle tries to help Bloodwind but gets stopped by Doomsday. He suffers some severe blows from the monster and later loses his consciousness. The team tries to come to his aid. The director interrupts the show at the studio, saying they've been preempted by a special report regarding some trouble in Ohio. Superman perks up at the news. Meanwhile, Ice sees Beetle lying still, and Booster remarks that he needs to be taken to the hospital soon. Superman storms out of the interview to help his friends. "I have to go," he tells the host. Booster continues taking on Doomsday with a full intensity blast, which proved futile. He is thrown far away by Doomsday, but Superman catches him. Beetle is now in critical condition, and Ice pleads for Maxima to help him get some immediate medical care. Ice runs toward the monster and notices how it's heading for a nearby house in development. A high schooler named Mitchell skates his way home from school not far from the battleground. He casually brushes off his mother's attempts to converse with him when he arrives. Later, the two argue, and Mitchell eventually blames his mother for his parents' divorce. Mitchell leaves for his friend's house, but suddenly, Ice's body crashes into their house via the window. Glass everywhere, and the heroine lands on the kitchen countertop unconscious. The mother tells Mitchell to call 911. Outside, Doomsday is trashing the family's car. Superman and Booster finally arrive at the scene. The Man of Steel finally gets his one-on-one with Doomsday, absorbing the monster's first punch without moving. Sadly, the hero is thrown through the house and into a nearby tree one kick later. The home starts collapsing. Superman is in disbelief of the villain's strength. Doomsday gets a hold of Booster and pounds him into a tree. The monster enters the wrecked house and goes after the unconscious Ice. He punches her and targets the mother and baby next. Superman stops him on time. The rest of the League arrives, and they decide to hit Doomsday with all their powers at once. Mitchell carries his baby sister while the mother carries Ice out of the house. The heroes are getting drained now, pouring out all their powers to hit Doomsday at once. "No, my flame is totally spent," Fire exclaims. They decided to stop, but the villain was still standing. Superman and Bloodwind now had to take over, since the rest of the team couldn't defend themselves anymore. Before they could leave, Doomsday hits them all with a critical blow, and then goes after Booster to deliver even more powerful punches. Fire runs to the family to help them, while Guy Gardner, who is unable to see now, tries to aim his blast at the villain. Superman and Bloodwind attack the monster from behind, but are met with two simultaneous powerful blows to their heads. Bloodwind's beam ends up hitting the house, and everything blows up. Later, Mitchell realizes that his mom and sibling are trapped between some debris. Doomsday leaps out of the scene and attempts to flee. Seeing this, Superman flies after him. Mitchell sees his mother lying on the floor close to passing out. He looks to the Leaguers for help, but they are all unconscious. Realizing he has no other option left, he screams, "Superman!" Superman hears the boy's screams but is conflicted on whether to help him or continue pursuing Doomsday, as he could endanger more lives if he gets away. Mitchell scans the bodies of the rest of the League from where he stands, thinking some of them are dead. He looks up to the sky and yells louder, "Help us, Superman! Please!" Booster tries to get up to help. Some heroes are now conscious, but they are too frail to help. Mitchell yells once more, and Superman looks in his direction. Seeing how no other Leaguer can help, he flies to the rescue. But before he could get near, Doomsday hits him from behind. Superman realizes that the monster leaps rather than flies, so he uses this to his advantage by pushing him down towards the earth. He forces the creature deep into a lake to hold it off so he can help the family. Back in the wrecked house, a beam was about to fall on the mother and her baby, but luckily, Bloodwind shielded them from it just in time. Superman lands and carries the mother and child to safety. Later, the ambulance arrives, and the Leaguers start getting some medical attention. Later, Doomsday jumps out of the water and attacks a helicopter nearby. The vehicle blows up, and its missiles freefall, along with its people. Superman grabs hold of one missile and throws it at Doomsday, while rescuing the two gentlemen who fell from the helicopter. Meanwhile, Doomsday lands on a car just outside the Kirby County Police. Superman arrives, kicking the monster into the asphalt. The two are now in a full-blown battle in the middle of Main Street. Another helicopter arrives, he throws it off to the distance, and Superman gets the pilots out of the vehicle just before it explodes. "Relax, soldier. You and your co-pilot are going to be okay," he assures them. Maxima arrives at the scene and hits Doomsday with a surprise hit from behind. Lois gets together with her friend Jimmy Olsen for the Doomsday coverage in another part of the city. Back on their side of town, Lex Luthor and Supergirl have just found out about Doomsday via a newscast. Supergirl suggests she go and lend Superman a hand, but Lex stops her, saying that he needs her to stay with him. On the battlefield, Maxima is furious and wondering how the creature is still standing after battling for a while now. In a fit of rage, she throws Doomsday straight into a convenience store, a decision that Superman immediately questions her for. He says that there might be people inside the store who could get hurt, but Maxima shoves him off. The two were about to get into a heated argument but immediately stopped when Doomsday charged them. Superman eventually gets hold of the creature by its head and signals Maxima to take her shot. Unfortunately, Doomsday is too quick for her, so she misses and gets hit by a cold punch. Superman notices some gasoline gushing up. Frustrated, Maxima detaches a nearby light pole from its socket to use as a weapon against Doomsday. Superman quickly tells her that the pole is about to spark, but it's too late. A massive explosion throws Doomsday and the two heroes in the air. Amid the wreckage, Guardian arrives in his motorcycle. He checks on Maxima, and Superman urges him to take her to a hospital while he looks for Doomsday. While trashing another overpass, Doomsday encounters a car about to hit him. He grabs hold of the vehicle and swings it far away. The passenger thought he was flying. Fortunately, Superman gets to him in time. Later, Superman hears a cry for help near the shopping plaza on the northwest side of Midvale where Doomsday is. He found the creature looking at an ad on one of the store TVs about a pro wrestling event in the Metropolis arena. He calls out to Doomsday, and the fighting ensues. Not long after, a couple of helicopters get near the battle scene, and Superman immediately notices that one of them is the Daily Planets. He sees Lois and Jimmy on board and hopes they keep a safe distance. Meanwhile, Lex learns from Supergirl that Doomsday has trashed one of the shopping marts. She convinces him again to let her help Superman, but Lex says Superman can handle the monster. Superman and Doomsday's fight raged on across the rear end of another establishment. Suddenly, the monster stops and looks at a sign ahead indicating that Metropolis is 60 miles from there. Superman remembers the TV ad in the store earlier. Afraid that Doomsday wants to head to Metropolis, the hero punches him hard on the head to distract him. Later, the hero uses Doomsday's weight and hurls the creature away from Metropolis. Inside a hidden facility where Doomsday lands, the staff panicked, thinking that the disturbance was an earthquake. Superman quickly gets to the still conscious but motionless Doomsday and pounds him again and again before he gets the chance to get back up. Superman grows tired of fighting, but tries hitting Doomsday with something to weaken him. The hero picks up a column from the habitat, and before he could hit Doomsday, the entire habitat collapses on them. Later, Superman wakes up and sees Guardian. On the next second, Doomsday emerges out of the wreckage in full force, causing the two heroes to be thrown off in the distance. Soon, Doomsday arrives at Metropolis and destroys everything he sees. Superman immediately grabs the monster and rockets him into space. Jimmy continues taking his shots, while Lois remarks that Doomsday might be the deadliest foe Superman has fought. At home, the Kents are watching the live coverage on TV. They are anxious for Clark and hope he gets home okay. Meanwhile, Doomsday gets away once again and is now wreaking havoc down the tunnels where the Warworlders are. Superman smells a gas leak nearby and tells the Underworlders to get to safety. The hero tries to fly Doomsday out of the area, but the creature's foot gets entangled with one of the gas lines. The line eventually snaps, causing a massive explosion. While all this is happening, Lex Luthor and Supergirl are being interviewed by the media about the recent attack. Later, Supergirl finally goes out to help the hero. Up in the sky, Superman gets pierced by one of Doomsday's sharp lines of bones and loses his grip on the monster. Supergirl arrives and holds Doomsday in the air. "Don't worry, Superman, I have him," she yells. However, the heroine meets the ground seconds later as the monster hurls her body down with brute force. Later, Doomsday is hit by a giant laser cannon from below. This causes him to fall, but he still gets up unfazed. State troopers narrow on him and they all aim and fire. Doomsday charges at them at full speed, unaffected by their weapons. Superman makes it back to the scene and tells the troopers to evacuate. He goes into battle with Doomsday again and suffers more critical hits on his body. Helicopters get in the way of the fight, and Superman carries the one with Lois and Jimmy to safety. Lois pleads with Superman to retreat and get help, but since the Justice Leaguers have already fallen, the hero is all the city has. Clark kisses Lois goodbye and tells her he loves her. The hero quickly returns to the battlefield, determined to finish the monster off.
Nobody tears up my city and gets away with it,
he screams. Later, Lois gets close to the battle scene, desperate to help Superman. Jimmy warns her to stay back. Doomsday has their attention now and is headed their way. But just before the monster could hurt Jimmy or Lois, Superman emerges from the rubble and punches Doomsday from behind. The hero is relentless now, using his laser to keep the creature back. He is barely conscious and badly hurt, but he refuses to rest until Doomsday is no more. The two continue fighting on the street. Windows shatter due to the impact of each other's blows. After one final hit to each other, Doomsday and Superman fall to the ground. Indeed, the world, Metropolis, the Justice Leaguers, and his friends and loved ones will remember this day forever as the day the Man of Steel fell.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.